culture. What is culture? When I was 4 years old, my father took me to a screening of Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What a film. What a film. And I remember this as clear as day. I'm sitting in that darkly lit cinema. I turn to the seat next to me, and protruding from the cushion is a sort of yellow fungus. So I turn to my father and I ask him, Daddy, what is this fungus? Is the room not properly ventilated? And my father says, Son, I think we're going to have to call someone to take a culture of this fungus. You know, I'll never forget that day. I remember it as if it was yesterday, because really, that is the essence of culture. It's that small, slightly discolored bacteria ready to sprout up in all of us. You know, that reminds me of another story. I was about 7 years old. The film was Salo, or the 500 Days. I have a rule for life. It's a very important rule. It's one of my tenets. Not like Christopher Nolan's tenet. This is just straight truth and wisdom. Don't overthink it. Don't swing at a 3-0 count. Don't run a slant at the goal line in the last 30 seconds of the Super Bowl. Don't go at the flag stick at the 12th hole at Augusta. Don't wear stripes with plaid. Dinner and a movie. That's the only acceptable first date. You're not that smart, so don't overthink it. Steve Jobs said think different. He's dead now. Don't listen to a dead guy. Listen to me. You're not that smart, so don't overthink the room. And yes, I'm talking to you, Steven Soderbergh. You're a smart guy. You helped kickstart the 1990s independent movement. You shot 2 movies on an iPhone. You cast Matthew McConaughey as a male stripper. You predicted COVID-19. You're really smart, but even you are not smarter than the collective knowledge of mankind. Steven Soderbergh, the executive producer of the Academy Awards, overthought it last night. And in an effort to create a storybook moment for millions to enjoy across the country, he created essentially the ending of a Steven Soderbergh movie. And I would call it the biggest Oscar disaster of my lifetime. And people are going to say the Warren Beatty, Faye Dunaway moment. Nah, man. That was peanuts. That was great television. We all had a laugh. Honest mistake. Warren Beatty read the wrong card. Who cares if La La Land or Moonlight won? This was just distressing. I have no other way of putting it. So for the first time since 1972, the Best Picture category did not close out the Oscars. They presented that award with 20 minutes left in the broadcast and instead decided to close the show with Best Actress and Best Actor. Do we know why they did it? No. Will we speculate on the reasons why? Of course we will, because we're in the business of content, not accuracy. We assume the producers thought the same thing we thought, that Nomadland was a lock for Best Picture, that the late Chadwick Boseman was a lock for Best Actor. He was a minus 1,000 favorite in Las Vegas as of yesterday afternoon. And so rather than go through the motions of giving Nomadland yet another award, let's put Chadwick at the end, and it'll be this beautiful celebration of an actor taken from us too soon. Great television, right? You fool! You fool! Joaquin Phoenix comes out. He's the reigning Best Actor. He won last year for Joker, which should have been our first clue that something was going to go very, very wrong. He reads the names of the 5 nominees, opens the envelope, and indeed your winner is not Chadwick Boseman, but this guy. Yes, Sir Anthony Hopkins wins his 2nd Academy Award, this time for The Father. All of us are in a state of disarray. All of us are caught off guard, but none of us are more caught off guard than Anthony Hopkins, who didn't even show up to the ceremony. So that's how the show ends. A still photo of Anthony Hopkins is shown on screen. Joaquin Phoenix accepts the award on his behalf, and Questlove plays us into the credits. I was distraught after this. Like, it was the most disturbing thing I'd seen all week. And on Saturday, I watched a UFC fighter get his leg turned into a piece of licorice. I couldn't sleep last night. I was tossing and turning. Joaquin Phoenix was haunting my nightmares. It was horrible. And I have no one to blame but Steven Soderbergh on this one. If you are going to make this bold of a move, if you're going to uproot a 50-year tradition to try to engineer an emotional moment, you better get your ass covered. And he didn't. I understand the Academy doesn't want the results to leak, and that's fine, but you got to take a peek in that envelope, my guy. You got to make sure you're right on this, or at the very least, if they don't let you peek in that envelope, you got to get Anthony Hopkins on FaceTime or something. Track down his phone number, track down his assistant, get him in front of a camera. You cannot let this happen. Now, us movie fans are a very fickle people. I understand this. We demand change. We demand progress. But the second you break parliamentary procedure and put Best Picture third to last, film Twitter loses their minds. We want to break the status quo, but we don't want to break it that much. But this was just bad form. This was bad for the viewer. This was bad for the Oscars. This was bad for Anthony Hopkins, who was wonderful in The Father. And that's what got lost in all of this. What should have been a triumphant moment for one of our great actors of all time got turned into this embarrassing flub. When it comes to these sentimental awards, I generally have a lot more patience than most people because my thing has always been the Oscars don't matter. Like, it's just an arbitrary list of winners that nerds like me will obsess over for decades, but the winners are usually wrong. It's not a definitive list. So if you have an opportunity to latch onto a narrative or tug at my heartstrings for 3 minutes, I think you should take it. So from that perspective, I would have preferred that Chadwick win the award, but I gotta be honest with you, I think Hopkins is better. Yeah, I think he's better in The Father. And I would have been okay with him winning. He already won the BAFTA. Turns out the BAFTAs were a much stronger indicator than we first thought. He now becomes the oldest actor to ever win an Oscar. That's a cool narrative. He breaks Christopher Plummer's record. 83 years old is Anthony Hopkins. It would have been fine if the context is correct, because let's face it, Anthony Hopkins rules. He's an international treasure. He's one of the 10 greatest actors to ever set foot on the planet. Watch that Instagram video that he posted this morning. He's such a sweet old man. Never have I wanted to hug Hannibal Lecter more than when I saw that video this morning. But Steven Soderbergh got this so very, very wrong. And let that be a lesson to all of you. Sometimes the boldest move you can make is to play it safe. By the way, I don't want to take away anything that Steven Soderbergh did right last night, because I do think he did a lot right. He said that he was going to treat this show like its own 3-hour movie, and he delivered on that. The show starts with a 2-minute long take of Regina King, Oscar in hand, walking through Union Station. Did I mention this was at a train station? Reminded me of The Graduate, reminded me of Jackie Brown. I want to see Regina King in an Out of Sight sequel. Steven Soderbergh, make this happen. I should also mention they're shooting the intro in widescreen, 24 frames per second. That's the frame rate that most Hollywood productions are shot at. And then the actual ceremony starts, and the dimensions don't change, and the frame rate doesn't change. And wait a minute, are they following the rule of thirds? And that's when I realized that crazy son of a bitch is actually trying to make a movie. And I'm back in film school studying every frame of this. There's a shot that happened pretty early on. I'm not sure many people picked up on this, but they're announcing the nominees for Best Supporting Actor, and Leslie Odom Jr. is announced for One Night in Miami. And when they read Leslie Odom Jr.'s name, the camera is not fixed on his face like you would imagine at most award shows. Instead, the camera is fixed directly on Glenn Close, who's sitting in the booth next to him. So the camera's on Glenn. They announce Leslie Odom Jr.'s name, and in what I imagine was a rehearsed moment, Glenn Close turns her entire body to see Leslie Odom Jr., and the camera pans with her. Steven Soderbergh, or someone in the booth, is giving direction to the people on the floor, is blocking the shots to make them look more cinematic. It is truly one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in an award show, and it is a far leap from that Zoom conference call that we called the Golden Globes this year. Another thing the producers got right, they moved those grotesque original songs to the pre-show. Brief sidebar about the Best Original Song category, we got to do away with it. It's over. The art of the movie song is dead. This category should be reserved for Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Purple Rain, Rainbow Connection, songs that actually serve a storytelling purpose. Every year, these Oscar bait movies hire some pop star to sing some lazy power ballad, and then they just tack the song onto the credits. No one's actually paying attention. It serves no purpose. You don't listen to the song after you've left the theater. I hated the movie Eurovision, but it was nominated for Best Original Song. The song was called Husavik, and it should have won the award. It was the only song of the 5 that actually advanced the plot in a meaningful way. It is a movie song. If you're not going to give the award to a song like Husavik, get rid of it entirely. Anyway, back to the bad stuff. A lot of people online are complaining about the lack of clips. I agree with them. I understand Soderbergh wanted to make this Oscars more personal than ever before. It was in an intimate setting. The speeches were longer than usual. Questlove did not play anyone off. The presenters were encouraged to tell stories about why they love film. And that's all well and good. Let Laura Dern spit as many cliches as she wants about Federico Fellini. But for half the show, I'm staring at the sound engineers for Greyhound without hearing any sound effects from Greyhound. Costume design is another one. The voiceover is telling me all about Pinocchio's red outfit. Do you think I saw Pinocchio? And even if I did, because I very well may have, do you think Chuck Schumer saw Pinocchio? Do you think any old man at home watching the Oscars 5 inches away from the screen saw the movie Pinocchio? Let's get to the actual awards because I thought there were some interesting winners here. Daniel Kaluuya wins Best Supporting Actor for Judas and the Black Messiah. An incredible acceptance speech. He thanked Fred Hampton. He thanked his parents for having sex, much to the visible chagrin of his mother. As great as the kid is at acting, he might be even better at delivering acceptance speeches. Yo Jung-yu from Minari wins Best Supporting Actress, steals the show with my favorite acceptance speech of the night. She threw Brad Pitt so far under the bus that stupid ponytail of his fell off. We should also note that with that victory comes a loss for the great Glenn Close. Glenn is now 0 for 8 at the Academy Awards. That is the most nominations for any actor or actress without a win. An astounding statistic. Poor Glenn Close has to show up to this stupid ceremony every year, get her ass kicked, and do the butt on live television. There truly is no business like show business. Mank pulled off the upset in Best Cinematography. It took home 2 Oscars last night, the other one in production design. Twitter quickly pointed out that Mank now has more Academy Awards than Citizen Kane. I just want to say that Mank is a very good film. I enjoyed Mank quite a bit. Mank is also a movie called Mank, and Mank is a very funny title. So any chance I can get to say Mank, I will take. Mank. In a great year for documentary filmmaking, the horrible Netflix movie My Octopus Teacher wins Best Documentary. Fish sex remains undefeated at the Academy Awards, and it really makes you think, if a man can form a friendship with an octopus, what else is possible? And then we get to the big awards. Nomadland wins Best Picture. It had been poised to do so since at least October or November of last year, so no one was shocked by this. I feel the backlash building towards this movie. It always happens when a movie wins Best Picture, and I understand that is the life cycle of these things. But Nomadland is like a gorgeous film, and Chloe Zhao does an incredible job behind the camera. It was my #1 movie of last year. Very rarely do I overlap with the Academy on these things. Let's just note, for the record, the Oscars got this one right. Nomadland continues its dominance in the Best Actress category. Many thought that was the tightest race of the evening. Carey Mulligan, Viola Davis, Andra Day, all contenders for Best Actress. Frances McDormand takes the trophy home. That's Frances's 3rd Oscar all time. That's the same number as Meryl Streep, same number as Jack Nicholson, Daniel Day-Lewis, Ingrid Bergman, Walter Brennan. The only person she's chasing now is Katharine Hepburn with 4 Oscars. If you had asked me 10 years ago, is Frances going to have the same number of Oscars as Meryl Streep, I would have laughed at you, but I guess I can't call her underrated anymore. Welcome to the tier of legends, Frances McDormand. So under extraordinary circumstances, the Oscars tried something different this year, and I have to give them credit for that. They stripped away the pomp and circumstance, they stripped away the music, there wasn't a host, there were no comedy bits. When the granny from Minari is the funniest performer of the night, gone are the days of Billy Crystal and Steve Martin. The focus here was clearly on the hardcore viewer and not the casual one. You don't imagine your parents flipping on the Oscars at 8:30, seeing Don Cheadle wax poetic about the power of costume design and staying tuned into the channel. But that's okay. It's almost like the Oscars realized their relevance has been slipping away for the past decade, so the goal is no longer to build the audience, but to protect the old one. This isn't the Super Bowl anymore. This is the NFL Combine. Only the nerds are watching. And as one of those nerds who devotes 3 months of the year to these ridiculous award shows, I was for the most part, satisfied. But you're going to read a lot of stories today about how low the Oscar ratings were. And I imagine that ABC is going to have some second thoughts. I hope they bring Soderbergh back. I hope he's allowed to fix the mistakes he clearly made this year, and we get an even better show in 2022. If we even have an Oscars in 2022. That's going to do it for award season. We'll be back next week with more Cultured. And until then, don't forget to ask yourselves, what would Werner Herzog do? See you later.